Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers playing against the Los Angeles Angels on Juneteenth, 2024. So the Brewers are currently 43 and 30, which is first place in the NL Central, and the Angels are 29 and 44, which is fourth place in the AL West. In the last game, the Brewers won 6-3, and in all honesty, they could have won the game 6-0, but the Angels put up 3 runs in the ninth inning to close the gap, but ultimately they still lost the game. And I think that the Brewers should still be favored in this game, but I do think that a decent amount of runs could be put up by the Angels in this game. So I have two parlays for you guys, both on BetMGM. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts on each of the lines and the game overall. And if you tap in, hopefully we can all win. So this is the first parlay that I have at minus 140. As I mentioned before, I think that the Brewers can still win this game, but I do favor the Angels to score more runs in this game. In the last game, they only scored 3 runs, and it came at the very latest inning that it possibly could have come in. So I do think that they have a better chance of scoring versus Peralta, who is the Brewers' starting pitcher. But I do think in the first 5 innings, the Brewers could cover a 2.5 run line spread, essentially not to lose the first 5 innings by more than 3 runs. Peralta so far in his starts is 4-4 with a 4.38 ERA, but his expected ERA is at 3.8, and he has a 1.2 WHIP. When looking at his strikeout numbers compared to Anderson, who's the starting pitcher for the Angels, he has a 30.7 strikeout rate, and Anderson has a 16.2% strikeout rate. And the average for the MLB this season is around 21.5. So I do expect more strikeouts for Peralta and ultimately more runs for Milwaukee in the game, but I do think that the Angels can keep it close. So I do have the Brewers in the first 5 innings covering the 2.5 run line spread because of the advantage that they have at starting pitcher. But when it comes to the pitchers in the bullpen for Milwaukee, they're not as good, and I do think that the Brewers don't play as well on the road, especially their bullpen. So I do think that the Angels could put up at least 2 runs in this game, and those 2 runs could come in the later innings. So looking down in the parlay at the third line, I do think that the total number of runs in this game will go over 4. And I do think that the total number of runs will be under 15 at the end of the game. It's been under 15 for the first 2 games of this series, as both of the offenses aren't as good. And the Brewers, even though they have a really good record, 43 and 30, which is first in the NL Central, on the road, they just aren't as good as a team in terms of their hitting. And I think that'll continue today. Over the last 14 days, the Brewers are 25th on the road versus left-handed pitchers, and they tend not to score late in games. And ultimately, they've been a bottom 10 team in the MLB in late inning scoring. And Anderson for the Angels is a left-handed pitcher. And while Anderson, he's gone 6-6 for a 2.58 ERA, his expected ERA is at 4.1. And he has a 1.19 WHIP. So that expected ERA being much higher than his overall ERA, I think it's because of his pitching on the road, and I do think that he'll be able to pitch a little bit better at home. But ultimately, I think that his numbers are too good right now for what he actually should be doing. So I do think that the Brewers should be able to score early on, keep the game close, and then the Angels can score in later innings, keeping the game over 4 runs and under 15 for the total game. At minus 140, if you bet 1 unit, just saying that 1 unit is, for example, $100, you get $171, which would be 71% of your investment back, which is a little bit less than double, but still good as long as it wins. This is the second parlay that I have at plus 115. So as I mentioned before, I do think that Peralta, the starting pitcher for the Brewers, will have more strikeouts and has a better opportunity of having more strikeouts due to their strikeout percentages being so different. He has a nearly double strikeout percentage compared to Anderson, so he just needs to have more strikeouts than Anderson. And I do think that he has a good chance of pitching more innings than Anderson, which will give more opportunity for him to have more strikeouts. Similar to the last parlay, I have the Angels scoring over 2.5 runs, and I think they'll be able to put up at least 3 runs in this game for reasons that I mentioned before. And I do think that the total number of runs can go over 6 in this game, so I do favor runs overall in this game, but I do think that it won't go over 15 runs. But if you were to pick a side, I would lean more towards over, say, 5 or 6 runs in this game rather than going towards the under, because both of these pitchers have shown a capability of giving up a lot of runs. And as I mentioned before, the Milwaukee bullpen just isn't as healthy as it usually is. They don't have all their guys ready to play, and I think that the Angels could put up runs because of that in this game. So at plus 115, if you bet 1 unit, you get 115% return on your investment, which is more than double, and that's obviously great. But I would just advise you guys to have financial consciousness and an overall awareness of your bankroll when making these decisions. But appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys had a great holiday today, and I'll post more MLB videos tomorrow. So stay tuned for those. And until next time, peace.